and a very warm welcome to all. I'm Neha Bharadwaj Alter and this is Game On. It had been raining 4s and 6s at the Chinnaswamy Stadium in Bengaluru on what has been a batting paradise for Australia. David Warner and Mitchell Marsh launched a brutal assault on Pakistani bowlers. Mitchell Marsh got 100, but it was David Warner who was absolutely unstoppable, scoring his 4th back-to-back 100 against Pakistan. He'd been kept quiet in this tournament and Pakistan bore the brunt of a charged up Warner playing his last World Cup. An incredible innings of 163 for David Warner, but once he was gone, Pakistani bowlers, they did well to pull things back. But the damage had been done. 367 for 9 is what Australia have got. Jamie Alter joins us here. Let's quickly go to him before I try to connect with Chetan Narula as well. Jamie, 367 for 9. Are Pakistan still in the game?
Good evening. No, unfortunately, I think once it crossed 320, they were out of the game. Just because we've seen, Meha, their batting just doesn't have a certain steeliness which is required for teams really competing in this World Cup. In their opening match, they were put under the pump by Netherlands. Yes, they won that match very comfortably, but Netherlands showed the cracks in this Pakistan team. And then the only really win they have so far came against the team, which I believe, and I think Mr. Sunil Gavaskar said the same thing on air, much later after I said it on your show here, Sri Lanka have the worst bowling attack. And then they were absolutely smashed by India. Yes, the Chinnaswamy is a small ground, flat track, notoriously small boundaries. But this is going to take a massive task from a team which I just don't think have enough batters. And the way that Australia's bowlers, Meha, came back in that previous match against Sri Lanka, were also in a very good position. How they pull them back either side of a brief rain delay just leads me to believe that Australia will wrap this up rather comfortably, despite the odds also stacked in favor of teams chasing at the Chinnaswamy.
367 for 9. That is a massive total. Having opted to field on one of the smallest venues in India with its notoriously small boundaries, Babar Azam looked on in frustration as Pakistan's bowlers were pasted to all parts of the Chinnaswamy Stadium. Dropped on 10 by Usama Mir of Shaheen Shah Afridi's bowling, David Warner smashed his second ODI century in 6 weeks to lead a record opening stand with Mitchell Marsh, who also put a century. The duo put on 259, which stands as the second highest opening partnership in ODI World Cup history and the highest against Pakistan for any wicket. After the 282 added by Sri Lankan openers Tilakratne Dilshan and Upul Taranga in 2011, Warner and Marsh's record stand was also Australia's first stand of 200 in a World Cup, bettering the 183 put on by Shane Watson and Brad Haddin in 2011. While Pakistan's bowlers, barring Shaheen Shah Afridi, lacked bite, the manner in which Warner and Marsh teed off was sensational. At one stage, Haris Rauf had figures of 59 in 4 overs as the pair kept attacking. The wicket of Marsh in the 31st or 34th over saw Glenn Maxwell promoted 1 down, but he was out for a golden duck, after which Steve Smith also failed to get going. Warner, however, refused to lose focus and moved to 150 off 116 deliveries. He was finally dismissed for 163. But the damage had been done. Australia had already reached 325. Let's also get Chetan Narula here and ask him whether he still thinks, due or no due, Pakistan are still in the game. Chetan?
Well, I mean, it's sport, Meha. I mean, to say that Pakistan are not in the game would be just saying that, okay, you know what, it's just Australia playing. So there's always a chance that Pakistan can chase this down. Right. Apologies for the camera moving there. There's always a chance that Pakistan can chase this down. However, am I giving them a majority share of a chance to chase this down? No, I'm not. I think a bit disappointed that Australia did not reach 400 because of the kind of start that they made. And we had discussed in the pre-show that their batting has been problematic. And I think that came to the fore. Steve Smith can't buy a run at the moment. Glenn Maxwell, people expect a lot from him, and he almost always fails to deliver. So from that perspective, I think Australia would be disappointed after the start. They got that they did not reach 400. As for Pakistan chasing this down, it'll take a lot from their top 4 to a top 5 batsmen to give the kind of start that Australia did. I don't expect 2 centuries from both their openers, but at least their top 4 have to make a majority of the runs if Pakistan has any chance of scoring this down. It just depends how much dew will be there and what sort of impact will it have on the bowling. Because in the first innings, the bowlers, I mean, it was a sad day for the bowlers to bowl on that Chinnaswamy wicket.
Okay, now Mitchell Marsh, he's the birthday boy, and what a nice birthday present. He scored 100. He said this in the mid-innings break. He says, very nice birthday present. I feel like I've played a lot of cricket on my birthday but never got over 10. Nice to contribute. That partnership with David was awesome. We know this can be a high-scoring ground. I've played here a lot. I've missed out a lot. It was nice to cash in today. Pakistan bowled pretty well in the power play. We sort of cashed in later. Now, Jamie, what I'm wondering is, like Chetan was saying, would Australia be disappointed given that at one point they looked all set to get to 400? Or would they think, you know what, 367 is a huge target. The scoreboard pressure is going to be on Pakistan and we've got the bowling to defend it?
Both, but let's just extend what Chetan was saying, right? They should have settled for no less than 410, you know, and I watched the entirety of the innings. This was not because Pakistan suddenly found their mojo and they suddenly stopped dropping catches and they started bowling, you know, searing Yorkers. It was mainly just shots of batsmen who, you know, Mitchell Marsh had feasted on 100. He was getting tired. He'd slowed down a bit. Fantastic idea in theory to send out Glenn Maxwell at number 3, a ground where he's done some things for RCB. But did he need to play that shot first ball? It's not the last over of the innings, right? All Maxwell needed to do was, you know, just potter around for 10, 12 balls, because he's one of those players where once set, he can actually make the difference between the 400 that I mentioned and suddenly 430. So he has to be blamed for that collapse starting. Chetan's right. Steve Smith is just not doing anything. I've said an Australian team that has Smith at 3 and Labuschagne at 4 cannot truly be seen as World Cup contenders. That's a problem there. And then, I mean, it's Australia's batting has such obvious gaping holes. I mean, Marcus Stoinis, when he wants to, can cream the ball over extra cover, but then he can also go and like play the perfect back foot defense. And this is what he was doing. He'd swing, he'd cut, he'd sit, and then, you know, he just gets into this hole. So they would extremely be disappointed to not actually get to 400. But like you asked in the second part of your question, 367 against this Pakistan team on a small track with dew, I believe it should firmly be enough for Australia to get their second win. We do not, if Pakistan had, you know, 4 batsmen out of 7 in form, I would say, okay, game on. But, you know, Chetan just mentioned there's only 2 that can actually do damage. Yeah. And in a chase of this magnitude, I mean, it would have to be Babar Azam playing the innings of his life, Mohammad Rizwan playing the innings of his life, and one more batsman doing something damn near perfect. Is it going to happen? I don't think so.
Which then takes me to the next question. You know, what was the difference? Yes, I know that there are batters in the middle order for Australia, Chetan, who are woefully out of form, who've been struggling. But did you also think the conditions changed, or rather the new ball, as it got older, it was gripping on the surface? Because suddenly Osama Mir was getting turned. Suddenly you felt like it was difficult to hit those big shots, you know, that you saw David Warner and Mitchell Marsh hit so easily. Was that also something that changed?
I'm not sure. I think it's tough to say because the pitch was so good for batting initially. Was it the ball going soft, as we have previously discussed in, you know, earlier parts of this tournament? You know, we've seen even on hard batting surfaces, you know, after 30 overs, the ball goes soft, starts doing a bit. Was it also happening here at the Chinnaswamy? I'm not sure. The other aspect is that both Warner and Marsh were playing or batting for a long time. They were set. They were seeing the balls like a football and they were just smacking it out of the park. So for the new batsman to just come in and, like, you know, Jamie said, that first ball shot from Glenn Maxwell, was there absolutely a need to play that? No. So set batsmen can comprehend that even if there was a bit of turn or the ball going soft on a batting surface like that. Yeah. It's just that none of the latter Australian batsmen really got going. None of them really caught their eye and Obviously it helped that Warner and Marsh, they played out those first 5 overs, etc. They were scoring at 6 or something in the first 5 overs. And after that drop, I couldn't believe that catch drop, from Osama Mir off David Warner. And then
Yeah.
again, he was dropped after scoring the 100. So it's a tough one. Not sure if the pitch is slowing down or, obviously the ball does go soft after 30 overs, after it has been smacked around so much. So is that having an impact? Will that have an impact during the Pakistan innings as well? I'm not sure. But again, like I said in the pre-show, Pakistan's best shot was to chase in this game. Their batting is not strong enough to bat first, put on 320, 350 against an Australian bowling which has been struggling in this tournament. So they did the right thing by winning the toss. It's just that if you don't execute on the field, I mean, you can win the toss and you can opt to field. But you have to hold your catches. If they had dismissed Warner, were we looking at a different story? Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's what is, so special about this show is that we can all have differing opinions. I still think Pakistan should have batted first. I mean, anything is better than this pressure right now. They're out of the game. You can say, yes, it's a sport and things happen, but that kind of score, I think Pakistan will be under tremendous amount of pressure. But then, yes, they're right in their decision in the way that they said that dew could be a huge factor. Jamie, let's also talk a little bit about David Warner and how good he was. I mean, 4 hundreds in a row against Pakistan, but more than that, the man just cannot stay silent for too long. I mean, he's just got to come back, and you see in, he's got a similar kind of competitive edge that Virat Kohli has. These guys want runs. They're hungry for runs.
No, look, I think David Warner is wholly aware that I'm playing my last few months of international cricket, right? Doesn't play T20Is. Had a pretty decent ODI year last year, but in Test cricket he's finished. And I know that he said that he would love nothing more than to bow out in the New Year's Test at home in front of his Sydney Crowns at the SCG. I just don't think Australian cricket are going to extend him that run because he didn't do much in the Ashes, right?
Yeah.
So technically he's looking at this World Cup as being his final appearance. He loves India. This is a place where he's got a lot of fans. Probably after AB de Villiers, he's one of the few overseas players who's widely loved and appreciated. It helps that he's got a good social media game and all that stuff. But he knows very well, look, I am one of Australia's, if not Australia's best ever opener, and I need to do something. So I'm sure that hunger is driving him. If you look since the month of September, when the Australian team went to South Africa, he's had 11 innings. 6 of those innings have been 50+ scores, 2 have been hundreds, and there's also a 41. So with Travis Head not around, what David Warner is doing is quite remarkable because he's nowhere near his peak form. But like Chetan said, when you drop him like that, he's one of those players. He's not really on a flat deck with those small square boundaries.
Yeah.
He's going to make you pay. So things would have been very different. And let's face it, as easy catches go, that was very easy. And full credit for David Warner. We were just talking about, Chetan raised the point about how it's tougher for the other batsmen to come in and do things, right? Absolutely right. But more than Marsh looked tired. David Warner didn't look tired.
Yeah.
He didn't slow down. He had enough overs to get to 225. I wouldn't even say it was a tired shot. It was just a mistimed shot. He saw, bhai Haris Rauf ke pehle over mein 60 run aaye. This is the weak link, and had he not mistimed that one shot, this would have been the 410, 415 we've been talking about. So I think as long as players like him are around, let's just enjoy them because, my God, when they do things like this, it's really fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. But what now Pakistan will see as a silver lining, Chetan, is how they pull things back and going into chasing that target. To think that Shaheen Shafridi got a 5-wicket haul, especially in the way he started, and he was actually out of all of them, he was the one who was the best even with the new ball. But Haris Rauf also pulled things back. Osama Mir, yes, inexperienced, but do you think that they'll be happy with that? It is a flat surface, no doubt about it. We can be rest assured that there are going to be 4s and 6s, especially if the openers get going. in this innings as well. So how would they look at their performance, their bowling performance? Would they say terrible, or would they say, yeah, we did decently well given how bad this track is for us?
I think Pakistan took the field today with the thought that Australia is going to score 350. The way they bowled, the way they fielded, they had accepted that, you know what, we will be chasing 350, and they're okay with chasing 350 because it's that kind of surface. They believe that dew will help them, etc., etc. Shaheen Afridi, I mean, I think that was, returning figures of 5 for 52. We just don't look at the scorecard.
Yeah.
You just look at the way the pitch behaved. That is a remarkable return. 5 for 52. And you're right, he was the only bowler who was actually looking to do something. He started off bowling full, but then he saw the shots were coming on really easy. The batsmen were making merry, so he pulled his length back. He was using changes, variations, coming round the wicket. He was trying to make things happen, and I think that's the hallmark of a good bowler. I still don't think Shaheen Afridi qualifies as a great bowler, but he's a fabulous bowler. He's a good bowler, and he was trying there. He was trying to make things happen for Pakistan. Haris Rauf, I'm not going to read too much into his wickets column. The ball was being hit up in the air, and they were trying to get sixes, so he got some wickets. I don't think there's another one-dimensional pacer in world cricket at the moment like Haris Rauf. He doesn't even alter his lengths, let alone have variations like slower ball or the Yorker. Same spot. He'll keep on bowling, and he's gonna keep being hit throughout this tournament, really. So very disappointing. They don't have a great spinner. Osama Mir, I think, thrown at the deep end today. Overall, Pakistan would be happy. I think, like I said, they won. They had this thought that they would be chasing 350 today, but at one stage, clearly they would have thought, oh, listen, it might be 420 instead. So they would be very, very happy with how they have pulled it back. I think Australia should be disappointed. 400 should have been on. I was disappointed that both Warner and Marsh didn't get double hundreds. I mean, they had so much time. They had scored hundreds by the 30th over, and obviously they were tired, etc. I think Marsh was more tired, like Jamie pointed out. But I think Pakistan will be happy that they didn't allow 400 to be scored after both openers hit centuries.
Yeah, they will fancy their chances now. They wouldn't have been able to think as positively had Australia scored 400 plus. I mean, right now, Pakistan would believe that on this kind of a track, if they get off to a good start, they build some partnerships, they might just get there, especially if dew plays a role, Jamie. So 37
and I might just be proven right.
You might just be. And I'm going to doff my hat off to you if you do. 37 for 5 in the last 5 overs for Australia. My problem with this is, Jamie, that this is not just a one-off game. This has been a trend for Australia in the recent times, right? And that's why I feel like if this team wants to get through to the knockout stages, this needs to change, because this has been happening all too often with this side.
Yep.
These collapses.
See, no, you're right. Let's look at Australia's previous 3 matches, right? 2 matches, they didn't get to 200, right? 1 match, they didn't even get close to 200. And the 3rd match, which, like I said, came against the worst bowling attack, their target was what, 204, 205, right? So, from that sense, this is massive progress that David Warner, despite that clangor by Osama Mir and Mitchell Starc, put on the 2nd highest opening stand in a World Cup. Australia, the most successful team in the history of World Cups, never had a opening partnership that got past 183. The previous was the best against Canada 12 years ago. So progress by many levels of thinking. But like we're saying here, 420 should have been what you're going for, right?
Yeah.
Well, 259 was the opening stand. 10 overs, last 10 overs, 70 runs, 6 wickets, of which, like you said, 5 for 30 something in the last 5. That's what we're talking about. It's more Australia's failure to catch in than, I think, barring 2 deliveries, anything great that Pakistan bowlers did. What happens when that catch is held somewhere down the line? Maybe the next match, maybe against the Netherlands on the 25th at the Kotla, What happens when Australia's batting doesn't step up and there's no cushion of a double century opening stand? So let's not get too carried away. Yes, I believe they have a winning total on the board. Marsh was fantastic. Warner was fantastic. But beyond that, no one did a single thing. And if the openers don't give you a double hundred stand, I think we'll be looking at the same kind of Australian team that failed to get to 200 in 2 matches, and in the third match got over the line chasing something around the 200 mark.
Now, I know both of you take your weekend cricket very seriously. This is not a bad present, birthday present to get 100 in a World Cup, Chetan. You would take that over any other present that you've got so far.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was not just, it just didn't feel like Marsh's birthday alone. It was also like David Warner's birthday, anniversary, everything thrown in together. I think, he was getting a lot of gifts today, I think. But yeah, for Marsh, I think he's been spectacular from Australia's point of view throughout this summer, or you can say for a year and a half. I think even last year at the T20 World Cup. I mean, Mitchell Marsh, like I said, I've said it before, I think he is captaincy material for Australia going ahead in the white ball formats. He is definitely one of their mainstay batsmen. I mean, and once this tournament ends, once Australia goes into that rebuild phase, it might just be that Mitchell Marsh is the one who becomes their leading batsman, or the batsman around whom the Australian batting revolves while they go about their rebuild. So masterful from him. I hope it lights a spark for the remainder of the tournament, because they need his runs. Even now, the Australian batting revolves around him. Jamie mentioned those previous games, 200 all outs and all. What was the main theme there? Mitchell Marsh not getting runs. So I think he's very, very crucial from Australia's point of view, especially with that middle order. Steve Smith and Marnus Labuschagne in the same playing 11. That just does not work. Mitchell Marsh is the main batsman. And when Travis Head comes back, they will have to readjust this lineup to play to the strengths of their top three batsmen.
Jimmy, you wanted to add to that?
Exactly. I mean, I'm just saying, I was hoping that you mentioned, Chetan, you mentioned Travis Head, because he's landed in India. Don't know how many games it'll take for him to come back. But can you imagine when he comes back? Again, he's been away for a while, but he's one of those players, I believe, like Shubman Gill, because he's been so good the last 18 months, he'll just hit the ground running. So then you put Mitchell Marsh back at number 3, where probably that's his long-term role. You get rid of Labuschagne, or most likely Labuschagne, because Smith has a more senior record. Then this Australian batting suddenly becomes, better. So it's not like, yes, they're struggling. They're not one of the favorites anymore, but certain things go their way, and then this batting just clicks. And just like Chetan said, I'll add very briefly, after this World Cup, there's no Smith, there's no David Warner. Labuschagne will probably stick around because he has years on his side, but he's not the ideal one-day batsman. So you have to build your team around Mitchell Marsh. I just hope that they find some younger players, because right now they have too many players on the wrong side of 34, 35. So again, like Chetan said, definitely Marsh should be leading. He's also not young, but he can probably be there 4 years from now. I agree. This team has to be built around Marsh, the leader, Marsh, the batsman, and also Marsh, the all-rounder, who somehow remains very underrated in that department.
Okay, I'll tell you an interesting trivia now. Shaheen Shah Afridi has joined his father-in-law Shahid Afridi as the only 2 Pakistani bowlers to have 2 World Cup 5-wicket hauls to their name. So that's a bit of trivia. Jamie is wearing the right shirt because definitely Australia right at the top. But Chetan very rightly said right at the beginning, he said that, look, it's a sport. We need to, there is no way, or you shouldn't be making any predictions till both the sides have batted. What are you expecting, Jamie, from Pakistan? It's a tricky one now, because the openers would want to come out. They would also want to be aggressive with positive intent, but at the same time, they wouldn't want to lose their wickets. How would they approach the innings?
Again, very little momentum with the Pakistan team, with the exception that, we just prevented 420 from happening. When you take 6 for 70 in the last 10 overs, that's outstanding work. 5 for some 30 odd you mentioned, that's outstanding work. I just don't feel, just because I have next to no faith in this Pakistan team, I don't think it's going to be enough for them to win. Factoring in, if you're going to get 368 on one ground in India, Chinnaswamy probably ranks up there, so they will obviously believe. And let's face it, if you're not believing, then why would you have chosen to bowl? Why would you have had the faith that, we can do this? But I just think it's going to be that first match where Stark, Cummins and Hazelwood combine equally, probably 2 wickets each. to finally turn a corner, because they owed a lot of the last match to Zampa and Stark, not so much Cummins. I mean, I know Cummins did get 2 wickets. I was sitting in a hotel room watching it, but I think this is going to be that first collective Australian trio of fast bowlers doing something good for their team, not just one or two. So I just don't see Pakistan coming anywhere close. Just a gut feeling. But I've been wrong in half my predictions. So.
Something interesting that Mitchell Marsh just said in the mid-innings interview, where he said that there is enough in the wicket and that ball is going to swing earlier on. So, yeah, how do you think? You're the one who's positive about Pakistan. You've said that they came in thinking that it's going to be a 350 plus total. How do you think they'll be approaching their innings, Chetan?
No, I mean, I never said that Pakistan will win this match. I thought it was the best chance for them to win this match. And I still think that it is still the best chance to win for them. But will they win it? I'm not so sure. I think the bulk of run scoring will have to be done by Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan. I think that their openers will have to play a major role. They can't be 20 for 2 and then expect Rizwan and Babar to score the runs. They'll have to put on like a 100-run partnership at least.
Correct.
And then wait, by then I think Dew would come in, and then you would expect Rizwan and Babar Azam. They will also need contributions from the middle order, because you can't chase it down, the way the first team has scored it. If they are chasing it down, this is going to go till the end of the innings, the 48th over, the 50th over, something like that. So it's going to be a close game. If at all Pakistan comes close, I think they'll have 1 or 2 good partnerships, which might scare Australia. It just depends when those partnerships will come. But I think Australia, it's a little too much to score at almost 7.5 per over throughout the innings. I don't think Pakistan has that strength in their batting. I still do believe that this was their best chance to win the game, but I think that partnership has taken it away too much. I think Australia will win.
Okay. We're going to move on now, because the Indian team, after beating Bangladesh in Pune and making it 4 wins in a row, they arrived in Dharamshala today ahead of their all-important game against New Zealand, which happens to be the only other team that have won all their games. So it's a clash of the titans in the group stages, and as you can see, Virat Kohli has walked out and Jasprit Bumrah, Ravindra Jadeja, they've all reached Dharamshala. The one big news has been about the injury to Hardik Pandya, which is a big blow. He's going to miss out on this game due to that ankle being twisted in the match against Bangladesh. The Indian team reached in the afternoon, and like we've seen at all the other venues, there's a lot of security as well as fans there to welcome the men in blue. Virat Kohli, he is fresh from a brilliant 100 against Bangladesh. He seemed to be in a good mood, was one of the first ones to walk out. And as you can see, Ajit Agarkar, the chairman of selectors, he's there with the team. The match between India and New Zealand, that's set to be played in front of a sold-out HPCA stadium, which has a capacity of 25,000 spectators. And there are VIPs arriving from different parts of the country, so you can expect a lot of hustle-bustle right there in this wonderful, beautiful paradise in Dharamshala. The stadium is gorgeous. Jamie, you've been there. Chetan, you've been there too, I'm guessing. It's a beautiful stadium. For this team, though, they go into the match against New Zealand, which I think is one of the most important games right now for them, without Hardik Pandya. How are you looking at this, Jamie?
Like we discussed earlier, this is the biggest test for India so far after 4 matches, and it's the biggest test for New Zealand. Tricky to sort of say what kind of conditions, because looking at the stats, and spinners have actually done better than pacers. So while I firmly believe that Mohammad Shami should be the right option, I mean let's put it this way, right? I mean, a lot of names will be taken about. Rohit Sharma has said before the tournament and during the tournament that my third pacer is Hardik Pandya. So now your third pacer is not there. Who's your third pacer when there's no Hardik Pandya? It's Mohammad Shami, because that's the role he's played whenever two first choice pacers have been around. Shardul Thakur is India's sixth bowling option, so he cannot replace what Hardik Pandya did. And who is Rohit Sharma's number six? It's Hardik Pandya. And Hardik Pandya is not there. You have to look at your next best, not next best option, next best number six. And your next best tongue twister. Your next best number six is Suryakumar Yadav as compared to Ishan Kishan. Had Shreyas Iyer been injured, I would say aankh band karke Shreyas Iyer comes in. Had number 5 been injured, aankh band karke Ishan Kishan comes in. So many names to think about. So I just want to see what Rohit's next press conference will be and what kind of statement he gives. Because all of Rohit's talk about experiments and chopping and changing and backing Shardul, it's all contingent on one man being there, and that's Hardik Pandya. When Hardik Pandya goes out, unlike any other player, Meha, in this 11, he's the only player, when he goes out, you don't bring in one player. You're forced to bring in two players. Yeah. Jadeja goes out, you bring in one. Ashwin goes out, you bring in one. Shardul goes out, you bring in one. But when Hardik Pandya goes out, you have to bring in two players. So to my mind, Sky comes in for a very specific role at number 6. And only because Shardul is not... I know that Rohit's back Shardul, but he's been backing Shardul because there's a man called Hardik Pandya. Suddenly, no Pandya, I find it very tough to back Shardul. So to my mind, Shami has to play.
You know, the one thing that I was noticing in that video is how they're just sort of cut off from the world. Each and every one of them had their headphones on. I'm sure they couldn't hear a thing. They all had these big noise cancelling headphones, or I think those are noise cancelling as well. The one that Virat Kohli are wearing, possibly those Apple pods. But you just see that they're completely cut off, and probably that's a way to be right now, given the pressure of a home World Cup, Chetan, given the fact that, that yes, they may have won 4 games, but, you know, there is still a long way to go. I'm amazed by how they're handling all of it. And they're doing it really well, better than what Indian teams have done in the past. We've had this conversation before. But, you know, this is the age of social media. Rohit Sharma in one of the press conferences said, boss, I've been away from social media for the last 9 to 10 months. And it has really helped me, right, mentally. So these guys have to deal with a completely different pressure. And from the looks of it, they've got that figured out.
Well, it's no surprise, really. I mean, they're not just mere cricketers. I mean, they're superstars. They're superstars before they are cricketers. I mean, you look at Virat Kohli, his profile is probably, you know, the greatest in terms of active cricketers across the world. I mean, we had that IOC conclave, and look what they said. You know, Virat Kohli has more followers than all the greats of American sport combined. So, and Virat Kohli might not even be playing in the LA Olympics. So I think they are used to it. I think part of the challenge of being an international superstar cricketer is that you need to understand how to cut this noise out. Rohit Sharma, I mean, and the thing is, all of them have their different ways to do it. You have Rohit Sharma, who you know, who's off social media, so he doesn't want to see what's being discussed, what's being said, what's being talked about. Somebody like a Virat Kohli, you know, he just puts on his headphones and, you know, he's into his own world. I remember last year, the T20 World Cup, we were in Australia. We were at the same airport. We were catching a flight from Perth to Adelaide. The Indian team was on the same flight as ours. And suddenly this whole hustle bustle began, you know, and it became really loud. And who was the superstar then? It was obviously Suryakumar Yadav, not Kumar Yadav. Suryakumar Yadav. Because he had just played that knock against South Africa, and he walked in flashy goggles and everything, and the crowd surrounded him. And then there was Virat Kohli. He also walked in again. The crowd wanted to get close to him, but he had 2 personal bodyguards. Not just what the BCCI arranges in security, he had 2 personal bodyguards so that everybody could just keep their distance. So there are different challenges when you play overseas. You know, they're much more approachable. When they are in India, obviously you have a much stricter you know, security cordons around them. But personally, they are used to it. Virat Kohli has been playing for so long. Everybody wants a piece of Virat Kohli. I think yesterday's game proved that, you know, 30,000 people wanted just... Yeah, India was on course for victory. They just wanted a Virat Kohli 100 and he obliged. So everybody wants a piece of him. I think it's an inherent part of being an Indian cricketer, and being an Indian cricketer who's a superstar. You need to know how to shut out the noise.
Okay, so Jamie is very clear on what India's playing 11 should be against New Zealand, where Suryakumar Yadav should come in place of Hardik Pandya, and possibly, you said Mohammad Shami in place of Shardul Thakur, right, Jamie? Why is it that you won't consider Ishan Kishan? I'm going to ask this to Chetan, I'll come back to you. Do you think Ishan Kishan, given the kind of form he was in coming into the World Cup, would you want to play him at number 6 at all?
No, I think Suryakumar Yadav is the right option because, we had a long debate. Even on the show, we debated this, that they were not playing Suryakumar Yadav at his proper position while they were experimenting, while they were building up during the West Indies series, etc., etc. But during that short phase of the Asia Cup and the Australia series, they figured it out that Suryakumar Yadav's best spot is at number 6. So even if they did not have any opportunities, or they had opportunities to experiment further, like in the Australia series, the first 2 ODIs, Suryakumar Yadav was still batting at number 6. So it just doesn't make sense for them to go back on that and say, okay, you know what? And right now they have a vacancy at number 6. They don't have a vacancy where Ishan Kishan has batted, be it number 4 or number 5. And I think they're not going to meddle too much with it because obviously we have to remember that it's a table-topping clash. And we will need to beat New Zealand again to win this tournament. There is no doubt about it. Whether it's in the semi-final or in the final, and this could be round 1 of that mega bout. So you need to make a statement, and I think it needs to be made in the same way that India has made a statement against Pakistan and Shaheen Afridi, where left arm pace doesn't bother us. Our mind will have to go back to the 2019 World Cup semi-final, the left arm pace angle, Trent Bolt. New Zealand cricketers know Indian cricketers really well. They know their weaknesses and strengths inside out. So you have to make a statement that you can handle the left arm pace, you can handle whatever New Zealand throws at them. So they'll have to cover both bases. And like I said in the pre-show, I am warming up to the idea of Mohammad Shami playing. Pick your best bowlers, pick your best 5 bowlers, because even if you play Shardul Thakur, you're not going to have a 6th bowling option. So might as well play 5 bowlers who are going to give you good 50 overs. With Shardul, there's always that doubt that the 5th bowler aspect is going to go awry. What if you need somebody to bowl 5 overs? You need Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli to bowl, Shreyas Iyer to bowl. I mean, the mind boggles really. So pick your best 5 bowlers who can give you 50, pick your best 6 batsmen, and that's the way to go on Sunday.
Okay, now before the match between India and Bangladesh, we were speaking about Shubman Gill. And, since he's come back from that dengue, that how good it would be for him to get runs, Jamie. And he did get 50. He scored a 50, 53 of 55. The impact of Shubman Gill, if he starts scoring the way he's been scoring throughout the year, I mean, that's just additional, what would you say, bonus for this Indian team, because there have been others who've been in form. But if he starts scoring as well, we know that if both Rohit Sharma and him, they get going, they'll be unbeatable.
Absolutely. Look, let's not forget that, while I mentioned in another show that India has not been tested beyond the number 5 mark, in 2 of those matches, Shubman Gill was not there. In one of the matches, his replacement, Ishan Kishan, got a golden duck. And in the second match, he was totally off color, where we were all there in the press box, where Rohit was smacking the Afghanistan bowlers. Ishan Kishan got 47 of 47. Can you imagine the impact if the 1,230 run Shubman Gill had been there? Probably Australia would have not reduced India to 2 for 3, hypothetically. And definitely Rohit might not have got 131 against Afghanistan. It could have been a 9-wicket win. He might have been 100 and Shubman Gill might have been 100 as well. That is just the impact with which Shubman Gill at the age of 24 is batting in this year, So, yes, of course, we all know the loss of Hardik Pandya. But I'm going to actually become extremely positive with this Indian team and say that in the match against New Zealand, they probably will be the same template, whereas your number 6 won't really have to do much because Shubman Gill is now back. Look at the match, look at the match yesterday. Rohit Sharma, he led the start. Fantastic 48. Shubman Gill didn't really have to get into top gear because A, it's Bangladesh, and the target was actually curbed down from 300 to 257. If Shubman Gill starts to get going against New Zealand, India's chances will increase. So while that is the first tough match against New Zealand, India's bogey team, New Zealand, Shubman Gill coming back just makes this team all the more tougher. So I'm not as worried about this match, despite the obvious absence of someone like Hardik Pandya.
Okay, this is what Shubman Gill had to say after the win over Bangladesh. He says this is one of the things which we talked about leading up to the World Cup. If I could put that quote up, that we were not chasing that well, those big totals. And he says, I think having won all the 4 matches while chasing is a great way to have that momentum with us in those big games that we will have moving forward. And which is right. India has won all the matches chasing. Virat Kohli has played a big role in all of them. There's, of course, the Rohit Sharma 100, the way KL Rahul played the first game. But yes, all 4 matches have been won chasing. Now, he was also asked about, missing the opportunity in a World Cup due to illness. And this is what he said. He says, when I was a little sick, I was feeling a bit disappointed on missing out on those opportunities, but definitely felt nice to get some game time. I think you have to be mentally willing to go out there, and that's what I was thinking when I was there. I lost a few kilos in the process, but hopefully I'll be able to gain that back. We don't go out to cover one World Cup and we think, oh my gosh, another 4 years. Will we be there for the next World Cup? Imagine for this youngster, Chetan, in the form of his life, to have missed those games. And I think in the way he's batted even yesterday, you get that feeling of urgency. I have to score runs. I missed my opportunities.
Well, that's part and parcel of life, not just players' life, but also, like, you obviously mentioned, us covering the next World Cup or not. Jamie and I were just having that conversation this afternoon about next year's T20 World Cup and 27 World Cup, whether it's going to be there or not in South Africa, whether it's going to be an ODI World Cup or not. So, this is what life is about. This is what sport is about. It's, you can score 1,200 runs in a year, in a calendar year. Wasn't he out of form in West Indies? Did it ever appear that he would, Shubman Gill can also be out of form in this calendar year?
Yeah.
But he took his time there. So, it's just part of life. It's part of sport. The good part is that now he's come back with, with the same fitness level. Probably needs a few more kilos, but, he's come back with the same fitness level. He's scored a few runs. His timing is looking superb. So there is no doubt in my mind that that going ahead, he will score more runs. I just want to say one quick thing regarding the Dharamshala contest with New Zealand. It's kind of weird that BCCI has planned this whole itinerary really nicely. You look at Australia in Chennai, Pakistan in Ahmedabad, Bangladesh on a flat surface in Pune. You have South Africa in Kolkata, England on Lucknow, which is probably the slowest of the lot. New Zealand, why would you play New Zealand in Dharamshala? I mean, the ball is going to move around. The Pacers, their strength is pace.
Out of 9 games, one you'll have to get a tricky one. Come on. I mean, you're the host. You're practically deciding everybody's fate. One game can be against your strength.
No, irrespective of conditions, the way New Zealand is playing, you have to beat them twice in this tournament.
No, you're right.
At least once when you see them in the knockouts, etc. So obviously, it doesn't matter what the conditions are going to be then as well. I was just pointing out, this is a slight discrepancy in India's schedule.
Which is the first thing we said. Which is the first thing I remember. As soon as we got the schedule, the first thing we were like, oh my gosh, India is playing New Zealand in Dharamshala. And that time we didn't think that the wicket's going to be slightly better, will help spin as well. That was I think everybody spoke about it, guys. But just coming back to the game that is on now, the good news for Pakistan is that their openers have got off to a good start. They haven't lost wickets. You guys want to make any predictions?
You tell me the score first.
They are 28 for no loss. Abdullah Shafiq has hit 2 fours. Imam ul Haq has hit
3.2.
3 fours.
No, because I don't have a screen in front of me. Okay, prediction time. I think Australia will win by 50 runs.
Wow. Okay, so you think they'll get to at least 300 plus. What about you, Jamie?
It's just a very good batting pitch.
It is. Look, it's like, I mean, we all know it's a great batting track. I just feel Australia will pull this back. Australia to win by, I'm gonna go. I'm probably gonna be proven totally wrong. Australia to win by 90 odd runs.
Okay. Okay, we'll take that up with you tomorrow at 1
You should also
PM.
give. You should also give a prediction.
Yeah, you have to give.
You've been pointing it
all
out.
the time.
I get to
You've been
choose what I
pointing it
do
out that
and what
might
I
get it
don't
wrong.
do on my show.
No,
See,
come on.
that's
Well
the,
done, Chetan. Well done, Chetan, for asking the question.
That's the wonderful thing about me hosting the show. I get to choose the content. I get to choose whether or not I want to predict on this. But guys, thank you so much, Chetan Narula and Jamie Alter, for joining us. Okay, here, I'll tell you. I think they'll lose by at least 100 runs. That's it then on this special. What do you think of our programming? Do let us know in the comment section below. For now, goodbye. Thanks for watching.